Girls of all ages, as well as young adults, are bombarded with images of the perfect body type and what makes a female attractive. Consequently, many girls of color have misconceptions about their own beauty and self-worth. Our guest today on Excellent Living is out to change that. Loretta Moorman is a licensed therapist with a master's degree in social service administration from the University of Chicago. She's the author of the book, Hello, My Name is Beautiful. And that's the topic of today's conversation with our host, Cheryl Martin. Let's listen.
Loretta, you are passionate about young girls and motivating them to see themselves as beautiful and have a healthy self-esteem and confidence. What's the root of this?
Well, Ms. Cheryl, seeing the next generation of girls succeed in all areas of their lives is really what inspires and motivates me to do what I do. I want to continue to help to raise up a generation of girls who are confident and unashamed of who they are and who God created them to be.
I love what you wrote in the introduction of your book, and you said, here's an excerpt, and I think you're talking to the reader. You're beautiful in your own way. Only you can be you, a unique and divine creation that no one can ever duplicate. So you believe every woman, every girl is indeed beautiful in her own way?
I do. I firmly believe that. I believe that each and every one of us, male and female, are uniquely designed and uniquely created. And actually, it's biblical. You know, Psalms 139 talks about how we're fearfully and wonderfully made. So that's one thing I really want to encourage girls and young women to understand, is that we don't have to compare ourselves to each other, because God made us each unique, creatures who are uniquely gifted and talented. So I believe that for sure.
How big of a problem is that comparison factor with our young teenage girls? I mean, when you look at the images of today's tween girls and the impact of social media on them, what's happening with that age group?
That is a huge issue. Actually, in fact, studies have shown that is the most commonly seen issue among girls globally, the comparison of their body image and their outer appearance with media images. Girls seem to look at the media for approval and acceptance, and if they don't feel like they fit in or match up to what the media portrays, then insecurities will begin to set in, and it's very sad, but I actually went through that. And when I go to high schools and colleges to talk to girls, I tell them about how I compared myself a lot to these media images, and it started to create low self-esteem within me. There's constant pressures on trying to look like these images, but I often remind girls when I go out talking to them that many of these images that they see in the media are airbrushed and they're edited. So, they look like they're perfect images, but in reality, no one is perfect and no one looks perfect.
Did anyone know you were struggling with your own self-image?
No one knew. I hid it very, very well. For a long time, actually. Not until college did I really start to disclose to others that I was struggling with low self-esteem. I started to tell my peers, and then actually I hid it from my parents. My parents didn't even know. They thought that I was just, I had confidence and I had this high self-esteem, but in reality, I was good at pretending. So I was able to talk to my parents about my confidence and my self-esteem issues when I was in grad school. So you talk about more than over 8 years of me having this low self-esteem issue and not really feeling like I could talk to anybody about it.
That is quite common, and I would have to say, Loretta, having met you personally, you are beautiful inside and out. So for some, it could be hard to believe that you experienced low self-esteem and you actually compared yourself with others, because I would think a lot of your peers would be comparing themselves to you.
Well, I will say it like this, Ms. Cheryl. I believe that a lot of times the quote unquote prettiest people are the ugliest people a lot. And what I mean by that is, from the outside looking in, we judge a book by its cover. We see beauty or we see features that are appealing to society. But on the inside, a lot of times those people are broken and they are dealing with insecurities. And a lot of that is because when you do have that pretty syndrome, I call it, where I know Beyonce has a song called Pretty Hurts, where you have to feel like you always have to measure up and be this perfect person from on the outside for people. On the inside, you're struggling because you don't know who to talk to about your insecurities because people are looking at you like you are it. You are that example. So a lot of times it's hard to measure up, I guess, to what people expect you to be.
So how did you process the data when you were going through this period? What would you say to yourself?
Are you asking when had low self-esteem?
Yes.
Well, I really would look in the mirror and I would, I would see someone who wasn't valued. I didn't see self-worth. I would often look at different images on TV, but also I would read a lot of magazines and see, people like Beyonce, people, like Destiny's Child, and Tyra Banks was really hot when I was in high school and college. I would always compare myself to her because I wanted to be a model at some time, and I would feel like I just didn't have the it factor. I just felt like I wasn't special. I had a hair complex, so I thought that my hair was just not good enough because I didn't have that curly, wavy hair that people call good hair. I had coarse hair, woolly hair, and I just did not feel pretty. Plainly put, I didn't at all. And so because of that, I think I made some unwise decisions. I think that I dated guys who just really, I could tell, just really didn't value me, but I didn't value myself. And because of that, I, allowed others, even friendships that I had, they were toxic, and I allowed others to take advantage of me because, quite frankly, I didn't place value and worth in myself.
So you're saying when a girl or even young lady, when you don't see your own value, it can cloud your decision making and maybe choose people who know that you have an issue and you're just so excited to be chosen. Is that it?
That's it. That's it. That is so it. I believe that when you don't have, the proper self-worth and value and high self-esteem, I kind of feel like you're like a victim, and people can sniff that out. especially I believe young men. I feel like they can kind of sniff out when you are not fully confident in yourself, and because of that, they put on this charm and they act like they really like you, but really they know that you don't even like yourself, and so they can intimidate you. And even with friendships, I got bullied a lot because I didn't have a voice. I didn't feel like I had a voice. And because of that, a lot of my girlfriends who I thought was my best friends, they would bully me. They would intimidate me. And
give me an example.
Oh, for sure. I actually just talked to a young lady about this the other day. When I was in the 9th grade, I went to all-girls high school, and I will never forget this. I actually became a victim of bullying from some sophomores and juniors. They would come to me every day and ask me for lunch money.
Wow.
And I would give it to them. And it wasn't until my dad one time, he kept asking me, like, why is it that I give you $20 a week, and at the end of the week, in midweek, you're asking me for more money? Your lunch money cannot be that, your lunch cannot be that much, Loretta. And so I actually ended up having to disclose to him that I was being bullied. And he actually he talked to me about it. He talked to me about, standing up for myself and, becoming confident in who I am and all of that. And that was great. But he also did have to come up to the school, and he talked to the dean, and they talked to the girls. But yeah, I didn't have the confidence in myself to stand up for myself. So I agree with your statement. When you do not have the confidence in yourself, and when you do not place value and worth in yourself, it does affect your decision making.
How did those girls treat you after that encounter?
They teased me a little bit. At first they were like, "Oh, you're daddy's girl. Your dad has to fight your battles." But I started to stand up for myself because I remember my dad telling me that I have a voice and my voice matters. And so I would just, say things like, "You know what? It's okay. I don't care if you think that I'm a daddy's girl, or I don't care. Listen, I am going to stand up for myself from this point on." And then my sophomore year, when those sophomores became juniors and those juniors became seniors, they started to respect me because I started to stand up for myself. It was kind of like I felt like they were waiting for me to stand up for myself,
And what
for them to kind of
what
move
brought
on.
about that change?
You know what? It started to. I guess the change just happened when I actually had to disclose to my dad. It was a little bit embarrassing that I actually had to disclose to my parents that I was being bullied. And because of that, I kind of started thinking to myself, why am I allowing these girls to bully me? Why, I mean, I'm they're no different than me. I literally got into the same school that they got into. I'm just as smart as they are. Like my dad said, I need to have the confidence to stand up for myself. So it started to create change when I guess I had to disclose the fact that I was getting bullied and disclose the fact that I didn't have that confidence.
That is powerful because we hear about bullying all the time now, and you probably
Yeah.
heard about an incident in the Washington D.C. area of a young
Yes.
girl who had been bullied and so wanted and desperately wanted a relationship with a
Yeah.
boyfriend, and she left her parents' home and ended up losing her life. This
Life.
guy
Yes.
is
Mhm.
accused of killing her, but the basis of a lot of this was her lack of self-esteem and the bullying.
Yes.
So my question to you is two things. When you talk about even the body image, and when you saw pictures of Beyonce and you also looked at your hair, how much of what you were sensing was the concept of beauty and whether or not a woman, a female, a young girl of color measured up to that?
Mm. Well, when I would look at the images of these celebrities, and I would see that my excuse me, I would see that my hair texture did not look like their hair texture, whether they were wearing extensions or it was their natural hair. It really did create insecurities within me. So much so that I begged my mother to get a relaxer. She did not allow me to get a relaxer. I went behind her back and got a relaxer because I felt like I had to be pretty. And the only way that I could be pretty was to have the same silky smooth, straight hair that these celebrities had on TV. I got in trouble for it because I told my hairstylist that my mom said that I could get a relaxer, and she did not say that. So I did get in trouble for that, but I just so desperately wanted to fit in. That's the thing. I think that's the overall goal, I believe, of a lot of tweens and teen girls. They want to just fit in. They want to feel like they are a part of society, and I didn't feel that I was because a lot of the images that I saw did not look like me. They didn't represent me. And actually, I know that Dove did a study on African American girls specifically, and they found that 68% of African American girls don't feel like they measure up in society, and they don't feel like they are pretty or viewed as pretty in society. And so that's alarming. 68%. I mean, that's not, those are not low numbers there, but I can attest to that. I was that statistic. I didn't feel like I did measure up in society, and it took me a long time. Like I tell girls all the time, self-esteem is not something that you just, I can't sit here and say tomorrow, if you have low self-esteem, tomorrow you'll wake up and have high self-esteem. It's a process. It's a journey that you have to go through because every single day you have to affirm yourself and validate yourself and talk to give yourself verbal affirmations to let yourself know that you don't have to compare yourself to anyone or anything. So yeah, it did. It was something that it was a process for me, and but I will say that the media did play a huge role in my low self-esteem.
You are listening to Excellent Living with Cheryl Martin. The topic today is helping girls and young adults gain a healthy and wholesome sense of self-esteem and self-awareness. Our guest is therapist Loretta Moorman. She knows firsthand about this struggle. She's the author of Hello, My Name is Beautiful. To learn more about this program and our guest, just visit our website, excellentliving.org. Now, let's return to the conversation.
One of the things that I love about your book, you have a lot of powerful principles in it that, to me, not only enrich tweens, but also all women. And you have an acronym. You put an acronym in the book for beautiful. And I'm sure that these are the things that you say to teenage and tween girls. Let's go through those as quickly as we can. The B is for body.
So in that chapter, we talk about every single component of our bodies. We start off with hygiene, and we talk about shaving and puberty and all of those things that girls go through during this stage of adolescence and that stage of development. And then we talk about the fun things like makeup application and when is a good time to start wearing makeup and how much makeup should we wear. These are questions that I get from a lot of tween and teen girls and moms, actually. They talk to me a lot about, okay, when should my daughter start wearing makeup? So we just go through that whole process of taking care of our bodies, grooming ourselves, getting our hair done, our manicures and pedicures, and just things like that. Because, quite frankly, when you do take care of your body, you feel like your best self. You feel your best self. You feel like you're the best version of yourself. And, studies have shown that, especially we talk about physical fitness. When you work out, endorphins are released and you do feel more pleasure. So yeah, that's B, body.
Now, are the teen years too early for parents to encourage their daughters to watch their weight and to make sure that they're not obsessive with their weight?
That is a great question, and actually that is something that has come up actually in a girls group that I am a part of, a mother who has a daughter who is overweight. The doctor, has told her that she is overweight based off her height and her age. We talked about that. I don't think so. I think that it's a good time to talk about healthy eating habits. Maybe starting there and talking about what you should consume, what type of nutrients and what type of vitamins you need to have in your body to feel well. And I think that talking about physical fitness and wellness and health is very critical because honestly, if you do not talk about that to the girls in their tween and teen stages, when they become young adults and they go to college and they have that card, that cafeteria card, and they can eat any and everything they want all day, every day, it does kind of, it could create some problems because if they don't know how to become disciplined at an early age, they will pick up that freshman 15. So I think it's really important to talk to the girls about, their health, their weight, and their physical fitness.
The E is for etiquette. How do you define etiquette?
Yes, I actually define etiquette quite simply. I just said in my book that etiquette is a set of skills that society has found acceptable to demonstrate in different social settings. So plainly put, etiquette are just skills that we learn that demonstrate that we basically know how to act in different social settings. So proper etiquette includes things like knowing how to properly sit in a chair while we're wearing a skirt, knowing which utensils to use at fancy dinners, or just even if we're at like a lunch interview, if we're trying to get an internship or trying to get a job, just knowing how to use the proper utensils. What's the salad fork? What's the soup spoon? Just making sure that you're demonstrating your knowledge of these practices while you're out in different social settings. And really, etiquette can take you further than different educational skills can. Some people have degrees, that I know, and they don't have proper etiquette, and they can bomb an interview because they don't have, those proper interviewing etiquette skills. So I think that etiquette is very relevant to everyone's life, but particularly our girls.
And where do you recommend a young girl go to learn etiquette?
Definitely. There are many programs. I know that one program in particular that I'm thinking about that has etiquette training, a part of their programming is Pretty Brown Girls. That's for primarily African American girls, but that is a up-and-coming organization. I know that it's local. They have local chapters here, or they have some in Chicago. But you could probably even just look at like maybe the YMCA, YWCA. They have different like classes that are offered. I know that I taught an after-school program in a charter school. That's actually how Hello, My Name is Beautiful was even birthed. So there's different programs that you can look at online if you're interested in putting your daughter in something like that. Community groups. If your child's school doesn't offer after-school programs, they have different community organizations that they can kind of seek out etiquette training. I also provide etiquette coaching, personal etiquette coaching, so that's something that I do offer. So yeah, you can definitely find it if you're looking for it.
Now, you also talk about another kind of etiquette that I think is so important these days, and it's cell phone and social media etiquette.
Yes.
What are the rules there?
Yeah, let me just say the reason why I put that in the book is because of our Generation Z. They are, that is their life. When I tell you, anytime I go somewhere to speak, they are always on their cell phone. So I don't even take offense anymore. That's just how the generation is. So, with cell phone etiquette, I just talk about how it's basically it's okay to use your phone. We know that this is a techie society now. However, in different settings, there's a time and a place for everything. So when you're at the movies or when you're in church or in school, cell phone use should really be at a minimum, at a strict minimum. I know that it'll be a stretch if I say, don't use them at all, because a lot of the girls are still going to pull them out. But I feel like if you're in the movie theater and you know that other people have paid to watch this movie in silence, silence your cell phone. If you're not going to turn it off, just place a silence on it, or don't use it as much, because the light is going to show and people want to watch the movie in the dark. So I just talk to them about how they need to be conscious of other people, because really etiquette also is about making sure that you are being respectful of other people around you. So you want to make sure that when you're using your cell phone out in public, another thing that I talk about is your volume. If you're on your cell phone and you're in the elevator at the mall, you don't want to be talking super loud because people are going to hear your conversation. And really, you could just tell the person on the phone, other end, hey girl, I'm on the elevator. Let me call you back. Just use your etiquette skills. Use respect for other people, and just try to use it as much as try to use it at a minimum when you are in social settings that really cell phone shouldn't be at. So.
Great advice, great advice. Now, the A is for attitude.
Yes.
When you say attitude, you're saying?
I am saying that attitude is a small thing that makes a huge difference. And I talk to the girls in that chapter about not only how they view their own attitude, but how do others view your attitude. It's really important to know and to really ask your friends and your family how they view your attitude. Are there things that I need to work on that maybe I don't even see? Because a lot of times that happens. We might not see that we have a bad attitude, but if you talk to your girlfriend, your best friend, who's known you for, a number of years, and you say, hey girl, I'm doing an assessment on myself. Can you tell me some things about my attitude that maybe I can work on? Because sometimes we don't see those, or we don't want to see those things, negative things that we need to work on. So I just really encourage the girls to just do kind of like a personal assessment of themselves and of their attitude, and just really try to see what are some things that they can work on.
I really appreciated one thing that you mentioned in this section, and you were talking about yourself and wanting to overcome a perception of you because you said some viewed you as, quote, stuck up earlier in life. And you said, I worked on my listening skills and learned to speak only when I had something constructive to say.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes. Well, when I was in high school, I was stuck up. I can admit that now. I didn't see it back then.
So you
but
were insecure and stuck up.
Isn't that an oxymoron? Yes, I was. I was insecure and I was stuck up. But you know what? My being stuck up was the mask
Okay.
of my insecurity. I wanted to always point out everybody else's insecurities because I didn't want people to see my own. So that's what that was about. But yeah, my closest girlfriends, they would start kind of talking to each other about their own, their little gossip and issues and things they had going on with their boyfriends and things, and they wouldn't talk to me about it anymore. They kind of just would leave me at the cafeteria table by myself, and I started realizing, whoa, no one wants to talk to me anymore. What's going on? And when I talked to them, I asked them a question like, hey, what did I do? They told me, you're always judgmental. You're always, telling us what we shouldn't do, like you're our mom, and, you're just really stuck up. And it hurt me really badly because, who wants to have their friends tell them something like that? But at the same time, I was happy that they did. I was happy that they were honest with me because I had to look around and say, okay, if everyone is saying this about me, it must be true. It must be true.
Therapist and author Loretta Moorman just got started on sharing what the letters in the word beautiful mean for a girl or woman desiring to radiate authentic self-confidence and self-acceptance. Loretta and Cheryl will continue their conversation next time on Excellent Living. Loretta Moorman is the author of Hello, My Name is Beautiful. You can learn more about Loretta and order her book when you visit her website, LorettaAMoorman.com. That's LorettaAMoorman.com, with Mormon spelled Morman. I'm Doris McMillan, reminding you that next time on Excellent Living, more tips on how to be the best version of yourself.